Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the brand new Hasbro Marvel Legends series Gamerverse PS5 Spider-Man 2 Miles Morales Brooklyn 2099 suit. This was a pretty divisive wave when it got announced a few months ago. All I'm going to give my thoughts on the reveal so far is that I really like how this one looks. I have Black Cat and the Symbiote Spider-Man coming in soon. The rest I have not ordered yet. I really don't want that Anti-Venom suit at all. Maybe I'll get the other Miles figures. I don't know yet. But that Venom that also came out that I just reviewed is also really awesome. So let's go ahead, take a look at the packaging here. I've rambled a little too much, but we do have Marvel Legends series as well as a warning up there. Now I'm more familiar with the packaging where it has a little bit of this flap still. This is more of like a straight rectangle, but it still looks really good. This is how they do the newer Marvel Legends packaging a little bit now. And we do have the figure in the box, some of the contents there. White spider logo with the red backdrop, the name of the character, different accessories. You also have Marvel Spider-Man 2, Hasbro, as well as Gamerverse, ages 4 and up as well. It's a little bit bright, but it's also going to say Gamerverse up here. On this side, it's also going to say Marvel Legends right there. Let's turn down a little bit. You have the name of the character going on down there. And then you do have a thumbnail of when you pick that suit from the game, so that's really cool. On this side, it's a wider shot of that thumbnail, and it says Gamerverse up there. Still looking really nice. Nothing really on the bottom. I'll go ahead and do a quick screenshot. I usually say this for the very end of this section, but quick screenshot of the barcode in case you need that. And then the back here shows you the rest of the wave. You know, I don't really want this one. Maybe I'll get the Boricua suit, excuse me. But the rest of this wave, except for this, is what I've got coming in. But that all looks really nice on the back there. So let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. And here's the figure out of the packaging. This is actually quite nice, especially for something completely brand new, I'm pretty sure. I don't have very many QC problems at all here, but there are some things about the overall approach that Hasbro made that I'm not super fond of. It's still pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. The figure comes packaged with a pair of fists, so let's take a look at these thwippers here, looking actually quite nice. These hands are going to be done in a similar fashion where they have this type of detailing with the lines going down the back of the hand, then these circular sections around the knuckles. We do have some mismatched paint right here. It's not completely centered in that circle, but I believe these details in here are actually receding. I believe so. Yeah, they go in there. And the line paint detail on the back of the hands is really clean. I actually don't think it's done too bad around the thumbs. Well, okay, maybe this one's definitely not that clean. Then they have these these cuffed sections, whatever they are, around the fingers there and on the thumbs too. So that is very interesting to see. There's even some stuff going on in the actual palms. So these are definitely not reused for a previous figure. They even have what looks like some fabric stretching on the back of the fingers. Here's a quick image of what these hands look like into the basically the arm sockets right there, and these do look quite nice. And now I'm going to go ahead and show you a quick image of what the wall crawling hands look like here. I don't have time to do a proper wall crawling pose, so I do apologize, but they don't look too bad. Here are the actual hands. You get a better idea of what's going on with the details in the palms. You have these sections going on in, I don't know, they're just like these polygon sections going on in there. Again, you get a better idea of that cuffed type of section around the fingers, and even, again, fabric stretching around those fingers above the knuckles. And I think that the red is centered better on these sections compared to those previous set of hands we just took a look at. And then you do have these web accessories. We've definitely gotten these with previous Spider-Man in the past. Maybe in the MCU Spider-Man, I could be wrong. We've definitely gotten these in the past. I think also that really overpriced and not what people said was not that great PS5 Spider-Man that was basically just a Renew Rouse body. It's just a translucent or almost translucent type of plastic. There's more white going on in here, I would say, but these have probably been done the exact same way with how translucent they are in the past. We have a much larger web and then a smaller web here, but all of these look, I mean both these I should say, look really good. I think some of the promo art showed off this basically webs in the hands like this. They don't really look that good. They're really meant to go on walls, if I'm being quite honest. maybe if you're webbing up an enemy or something. I did want to show off what the PS4 Miles Morales, or PS5 also, that unmasked head from that figure a few years ago looks like on here, and it doesn't entirely work out. I don't think it looks too bad, but it does sit a little too high up. You shouldn't be seeing that neck hinge the way you are. Maybe if you had one of these heads and you dremeled it a little bit to basically recede a little bit more, just go a little bit deeper, it could fit, because the size I think is actually pretty good. The Venom Strike hands, or Electric hands, whatever you want to call them though, they will fit with this figure. The wrist rotation is not loose at all. It's a very nice, secure, loose enough, but still pretty secure connection, and the hinges work just fine. So there is a little bit of compatibility between previous Miles figures, video game Miles figures, compared to this one here. Now, this might be a trickier figure to take a look at, because if I turn up a little too bright, I feel like some of this light is going to flush this out too much, but too low, and then you don't get an idea of really the colors going on here, because this is definitely a very dull brown compared to like all black with some red like I thought it was going to be originally. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think how the brown is pretty good. I don't know if it's supposed to be this shiny, but still rather nice. So the first thing to talk about is the head sculpt here. I don't know if these smaller eyes have receded details, but this definitely does, and this top section does. But to make it look like it has 8 eyes, that's really cool. These divots above the eyes, which actually are continuing on the back of the head, are pretty nicely done. These like little vent sections, whatever they could be, on the back there looks good. You can kind of tell in the light there's supposed to be some line sections, but they're so shallow that you really can't see them very well. Maybe around the forehead and around the side of the cheeks and all that. Yeah, I feel like that could have been a little bit more prominent. Maybe it's not that prominent in the game, but maybe just a little bit more sculpting going on there. And then there's just excess plastic right there that I don't think looks great. That's not to say that for the rest of this figure, though, because we do have some really nice lines sculpted in there. They're actually, like, you can actually see them going on there. Gets a little bit more shallow going on here, and then some other sections are shallow, but you can still see it pretty well. I feel like there might be some paint going on in here, but I could be wrong about that. Here's the entire back of this figure with lots of nice shapes going on. It just has a lot. I mean, it's a very futuristic style, very similar to Miguel O'Hara's type of spider logo, I would say. And we do have a lot of red paint, but there is some splotching going on. There are some divots on the back here like they were on the front. One thing to mention is that I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but to the at least my naked eye, we have a little bit more of a dull red here, and then this is a little bit more vibrant going on the shoulder. I think it's really dull around here. So the red can be a little bit inconsistent, which is interesting because the brown is pretty consistent all the way around in this glossy section, all the way on the upper torso and the shoulders. So I don't really know what was going on with the red, but it doesn't, it's really not that big of a deal. There's something to mention. It's like nice armor plating that also kind of has like protruding pecs. Pretty nice. A little bit of some splotching going on up here. It's just some nitpicks. I really am not too bothered by some of these, paint app imperfections. They're not very easy to see. And also some areas that you think would have a little bit of a mess up actually look really good. Like the inside here of the butterfly joints. I feel like there might be some excess plastic, or maybe that's supposed to be. I don't know if it's supposed to be there. But it seems like, I feel like there might be some chipping if you push too hard, but it really seems like it's not going to be the case with this particular figure. Only time can tell if I, decide to push too hard. Forgot to mention, where you have this dull brown and then the black fabric, that's all separated in the sculpt. They're actual separate pieces of plastic, and I think that actually looks really good. You get to see, again, a little bit of like this fabric type of detailing all the way down here. Just taking a look at what else I can talk about. I didn't really talk about the arms yet. Again, some nice detailing in there. I never talked about this with the Venom either, but it seems like they're doing a really good job with the detailing and the paint, which is really bright here, of how this stuff goes on here when that's going to get covered up and maybe even chipped by the articulation. Again, I don't think I'm going to have that much of a problem, at least with this particular figure right now. Then we have this fabric section around the arms here, around the pinless tech looking pretty nice. This armor plated section that almost looks silver, I feel like. Maybe it is. but definitely a type of gray. It definitely doesn't look dark, like a dull brown, but that elbow pad, all that looks really cool. Almost like these like Black Widow type of gauntlet sections here, these bracelet pieces onto the forearm. All this is a complete sculpt here. You can see the separated plastic and that fabric and that dull brown. You do also have some nice, red paint there too. A little bit of a red splotch on this thumb, but these fists don't look too bad in terms of the actual applications. And then you have what the inside of that hand looks like going on here. Not too bad either. Maybe we'll look at that arm because I never really got to show off this arm either. Yeah, I am surprised that the hand, there's minimal paint apps on this one. There's definitely some, but I really thought it would be as worse than it is right now. I'm really digging how the belt is done, where we do have the silver sections on the sides here. And again, all of this, well, this feels like overlapping plastic, how this stomach piece is done, but this is also a separate piece right there going into the mesh on the pants. And then all these pouches on the belt look really good. Seam line down the buttocks. You have all that mesh detail. You have these lines with red painted in there going all the way down here towards the ankle, really getting close to the calf. Because of the nature of how this has to be sculpted, you have this part, all that connecting, but then there's nothing here connecting that. There's just some gappage because of the articulation, which is fine. It is what it is, because you're going to be moving this at some point, of course. In the front of the legs, though, you get a look at all of what is the wrinkles, which I don't think that's proper grammar, but wrinkles galore on this. I feel like the bottom half of this figure could be reused for something. I feel like I want to reuse it, especially these shoes. They look really cool. I really like how they're done, and they are separated, so we do have articulation, which we'll talk about that in a second. These little tassel sections in the back here. Also the back of the shoe there. The rest of it is a semi-glossy black plastic. I mean, this all is pretty much a black plastic, but there is this red paint here. No paint around here on the shoes. Still looks pretty good on top, though. These cut-off sections look pretty good, too. And that's what the bottom of the feet look like. So, overall, I really do think that while some of the details are drowned out a little bit, depending on, how it's sculpted in some areas, mostly the lines, other sections look really good. And overall, pretty decent paint apps. We have the slightly old school style of articulation here. I say slightly because we don't have a dumbbell joint. It's a swivel here. Head goes up pretty far, actually. And then down could be a little bit better, but yeah, could be a little bit better. Not too bad, though. We do have a butterfly joint that isn't too bad. It can maybe get a little bit better range of motion, but arms do go all the way around. They go that far out. Not too bad. It does feel a little gummy here, like it does with a lot of these figures, but we do have a upper arm swivel. We do have double jointed elbows. Pretty nice to bend, and they're still pretty secure, though. We do have a swivel at the wrist and a hinge at the wrists for all sets of hands going on there. Ab crunch here, back. Get some idea of what this looks like there. That detailing. Same thing going on here with some of that red there. We do have a waist twist going on here. Legs, I feel like they should push forward a little bit more. Yeah, something's going on there. Don't really want to push back very much at all. Almost a perfect split. We do have an upper thigh swivel. We do also get a double jointed knee, and that's as much bend as you're going to get, which is still pretty good. We have a swivel right here at this boot meeting the pants. Okay, it goes down that far, not too bad, and then up like that. And then we do have ankle rocker, and you do have peg holes at the bottom of the feet right there. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see just how huge this new Venom is with this new Miles. But we do have it at, I think, a little over 15.5 centimeters. So that is actually going to put this just under 6.5 inches. I felt like Hasbro was going to get the sizes between these two, incorrectly. But they are about the same height, thank goodness. That standard size Marvel Legends Spider-Man, the retro one, is going to be a little bit taller. I do believe the Black Series Mando is going to be a little bit shorter. And then zooming out real quick, you can see just how large the new Venom is compared to this Miles figure. That's crazy. Overall, I really am digging how they did this for the most part. My biggest complaint is that there is some detailing on here, especially some line work, where it just seems like it's way too shallow and you can't tell much. I also think the dull brown is kind of drowned out in certain lighting, but I still think it looks pretty good. You know, there is a little bit of splotching in the red here and there, but it really isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think that this is an overall really nice figure. I think it looks really good. This unique sculpting here, for the most part, again, is really awesome. All the different accessories are pretty cool. I would have swapped out those web accessories for an unmasked head that did work, and then maybe that head could have been compatible with the other ones. I don't know if I'm going to get those other models yet. We'll see if those are compatible with that previous head I was showing off earlier. But overall, articulation on this thing, still pretty good. The different hands are also awesome. And it's just a really nice looking version of a Miles Morales suit here. And I kind of want to reuse the legs for a custom because they look really good. Either way, though, this is a really nice figure. We'll see what the pricing is like because it's fluctuating a little bit. But my pre-order was locked in at 25 bucks on Amazon. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.